beatable just by eating 100,000 pills. But you were born into a world where alchemy straight up doesn't exist anymore. Even as the young lord of the top cultivation clan on the continent, the number of pills you get every month is painfully limited. Especially after your little brother was born with the supreme bone. Your dad and the elders started showing him favor, no question about it. Whether it was divine weapons, treasure artifacts, or spirit pills, you only got what your brother didn't want. What they didn't know was this. Your pill-devouring body means one pill alone does almost nothing. But the moment you take 50 or more at once, the effect multiplies by hundreds. You knew no matter how hard you trained, you couldn't outpace your brother. So you quietly started stacking, hoarding every pill you got. This method was slowly building you a massive comeback, but over a decade, your cultivation level had completely flatlined. By the time your brother Xiao Li hit Foundation Establishment Grand Completion, you were still stuck in the late Qi refinement stage. Seeing the massive gap in talent between his two sons, the clan leader, your father, couldn't hide his disappointment. Right now, inside the Zhao family main hall, you're in a dispute with your brother over one foundation pill. This was your reward. You earned it by completing a clan mission. Why should it go to Xiao Li just because he says he needs it? On one side, your brother quiet and looking completely harmless. On the other, are you going off and not backing down. Clan leader Xiao Hong can't take it anymore. Enough, Xiao Liang. What is your problem? I'm going to make this very clear today. Being born with that pill-devouring body, that's not your fault. But you know perfectly well that taking one pill only gives you 10% of the effect. And you're still out here fighting your own little brother for it? Did you forget everything I taught you about being the bigger person? If you insist on taking that pill today, then I have no son named Xiao Liang. The moment he finishes, Elder Xiao Lei chimes in too. Young master, are you really not going to apologize? The second young master carries the supreme bone. His future is basically paved in gold. Once he reaches the great Tao, won't you benefit from his shadow too, first young master? As the older brother, you should be thinking about the bigger picture. Why are you being so petty with your own little brother? You don't even bother with what they're saying. Your eyes go straight to Xiao Li, catching that faint smirk he can barely hide. This so-called genius prodigy everyone admires. He's nowhere near as gentle as he acts. Every time the adults aren't around, he never bothers hiding how much he resents you. When you were younger and stronger, you could still hold him down. But now he's at Foundation Establishment Grand Completion. Openly and secretly, he trips you up without a second thought. A foundation pill is basically useless to him at this point, yet he still fights you for it. Even if some elders have picked up on the game he's playing, they won't say a word because of his genius status. And now even your father has fully sided with Xiao Li. At one glance, if everyone thinks me having resources is just a waste, then maybe there's no point staying in this family. With that thought, you crush the foundation pill in your hand to dust, and toss it. Then you turn and walk out, right in front of everyone's shocked faces. Xiao Hong barely starts to say, "You walk out that door and don't you dare come back." But before he can finish, you're already past the Xiao family gates. Nobody expected you to just walk away like that. You actually gave it all up. A top cultivation clan, the title of Xiao family young lord. The elders are stunned silent, all eyes turning to the clan leader. A flash of panic crosses Xiao Hong's face too. His oldest son was never like this, not in his memory. Xiao Liang was sharp as a kid. Hadn't even hit 10 when he successfully entered the Qi refinement stage. The clan had been grooming him as their next heir. But then Xiao Li was born. And that supreme bone, the mark of an absolute genius, revealed itself. Under that kind of jaw-dropping, world-shaking brilliance, he honestly wasn't sure if he'd been playing favorites. Without meaning to, he'd been tuning out his oldest son's feelings. Sensing his old man wavering, Xiao Li quickly steps up to comfort him. "Father, don't worry. Big bro just needs to cool off. Once he calms down, he'll be back." Then he lowers his voice, pauses for a beat, and adds, with Big Bro's wallet condition, where else is he gonna go besides the Xiao family? Hearing that, Xiao Hong gradually settles down. He turns to the room with a cold expression, and announces, "If that ungrateful brat comes crawling back, make him kneel outside the gate. Nobody lets him in without my word." Meanwhile, after leaving the Xiao estate, you head straight to a hidden cave. Then you dig out a few clay jars from a secret spot inside. Inside them, pills you've been quietly stacking for over a decade. 1 jar, 108 power gathering pills. 1 jar, 119 mind clearing pills. Half a jar, 52 spirit movement pills. Half a jar, 48 foundation pills. Everyone thinks your pill-devouring body is a defect, a waste of resources. But they don't know. The second you swallow 50 or more pills at once, the effect hits a whole different level. The stat boost you get 10x, 20x what a normal pill gives. And on top of that, all kinds of wild bonus effects kick in. Take the power gathering pill, normally just a temporary strength buff. Swallow 50 at once, and not only do you get 10 times the strength boost of a single pill, but what was temporary becomes permanent. If 50 pills already do that, it was all worth the grind. You've stacked over 100. You did consider telling your father about this quirk, but Xiao Li is ruthless. He would never let you have a smooth ride. Rather than risk exposing your secret and getting dragged through the dirt, you figured you'd just stack 50 foundation pills first, and let your power do the talking. But nobody saw it coming. The Xiao clan pushed you out before you were even ready. You got thrown out before the big moment. Fine then. You're on your own now. With that thought settled, you take the pills out of the jars one by one, and quickly swallow each type together. A golden glow bursts out from inside you. Your body, your mental power, all of it jumps 20x. Even your speed gets a 5x boost. You're still technically in late Qi refinement, but your raw physical strength alone is already matching late foundation establishment. If you can stack 50 foundation pills, and push your cultivation even further, there's no telling how strong you'd get. With that in mind, you seal the foundation pill jar back up, and decide to head to the Wanbao Pavilion in Tianan City to try your luck. Alchemists are incredibly rare on the Qingyun continent, so pills are worth way more than anything else. To build up your pill stash, you'd sold off a decent amount of stuff over the years. You're basically a regular at Wanbao Pavilion, and today, you're going to sell a short sword. It was a gift from your father. The year you successfully entered Qi Refinement. A pretty high-grade spirit treasure, but you never once used it. You even lied and said you lost it just to keep it from Xiao Li's radar. Over time, even your father forgot it existed. Kept safe all these years, never even drawn, and now it has nowhere left to be used. The sword story hits a little too close to your own. But you're leaving the past behind now. Mind made up, you head down a trail toward Tianan City. But you haven't gone far before you sense someone tailing you. After taking the mind-clearing pills, your perception is on par with some high-level detection techniques. You can feel someone's presence from miles out. You spot them wearing Xiao family disciple uniforms. You already know exactly what's going on, but instead of tipping them off, you play it cool. You loop around and lead them into a dead end, then stand at the top of a cliff and give them an opening on purpose. Seeing you walk right to the edge of a cliff, the three behind you stop hiding and step out. Young master, don't take this personally, you know how it is, and someone back home doesn't want you coming back. Nice view up here, though. Why don't you just stay? With that, the leader's aura explodes out. Clearly early Foundation establishment. The other two get into position as well. Both late Qi Refinement. These guys are strangers. Hired hands who recently joined the Xiao family. You don't even need to guess who sent them. No point wasting words. You flash behind all of them in one move. So fast, it breaks the sound barrier. That alone is way beyond anything late Qi Refinement should be capable of. How is that even possible? The leader doesn't even get the words out. You hit him with a single hand chop that snaps his neck. No spiritual energy used at all. Pure physical force. The other two are frozen. One-shotting a Foundation establishment cultivator with just your body. The first young master is actually this terrifying. They drop to their knees, begging for their lives, asking you to spare them for the work they've done for the Xiao family. But please, let them live. You know better though, if you let these two walk, your location and your real power get exposed. Until you're absolutely sure you can take down Xiao Li, any slip-up could be fatal. With that in mind, you send one palm each straight to their heads. Once you confirm all three are gone, you take their storage pouches. Inside, 500 spirit stones, plus a bunch of pills made for regular people. Most of them are for healing internal injuries. One gourd full of minor recovery pills when over 300 inside. This type doesn't need spirit herbs to make, so they're dirt cheap. You'd never thought about whether mortal pills like these would even work on your pill-devouring body. But these guys were carrying them for a reason. Must do something useful even for cultivators. In an emergency, slamming hundreds of them at once might pull off something crazy. With that thought, you pocket the gourd and head for Tianan City. Meanwhile, inside the Xiao Estate's side hall, Xiao Li is in a private meeting with a few of his inner circle. One of the hired hands rushes over and whispers nervously, "My lord, we've completely lost contact with Zhang Laosan and his crew. Should we send people out to find them?" Xiao Li frowns, his expression going ice cold. He knows better than anyone just how dangerous his big brother is. Growing up, he'd always played the perfect innocent act in front of his parents. Whether it was sneaking spirit stones from the clan, or learning forbidden techniques, he always covered his tracks flawlessly. But every time he locked eyes with his big brother, it felt like every thought got read clean through. No proof, nothing. And yet he'd panic and spill everything to his parents. Sure, being the favorite meant he never got seriously punished. But getting seen through like that, it messed with him. He'd tried to take you out countless times over the years, but every single time you slipped away like you saw it coming. Now he's finally got a shot. You've left the Xiao family. If you stay alive, how's he ever supposed to have peace of mind? He's just about to order someone to keep tracking you down, when the clan leader suddenly walks into the side hall. Seeing his father arrive, Xiao Li instantly dials everything back. Flips the switch to respectful and well-behaved, steps forward and calls out, "Father." Xiao Hong pats his son on the shoulder. "Liar!" In a little while, the Cloud Mist secret realm is opening again. Your brother's not around this year. Among the younger generation, strength is everything. I'm thinking we skip the internal selection this time. You'll go represent the Xiao family in the secret realm. Whatever you bring back is yours to keep. Just don't let us look weak in front of the other sex. Xiao Li grins and responds without missing a beat. Father, don't sweat it. I've looked into the major sects on the continent. Their young generation? None of them are on my level. I'll bring back first place for you. Xiao Hong lets out a big laugh, clearly in great spirits. Good. Having you is a blessing to our Xiao family. On the other side, you've arrived at Tianan's Wanbao Pavilion. You know this place like the back of your hand. You find owner Shu Yukai right away. The moment he sees it's you, he rushes over. "Ah! Brother Xiao, what kind of treasure did you bring this time?" Without a word, you quietly pull out the family heirloom short sword. The moment Shu Yukai sees the markings on the scabbard, his jaw drops. Then he laughs and goes, "Brother, you're joking, right?" This thing has serious history behind it. If you sell it, isn't that basically selling the Xiao family's reputation? You set the sword on the counter and look him straight in the eye. This is just something the Xiao family forgot ever existed. And I'm not part of the Xiao family anymore. Just name your price. Zhu Yukai's expression shifts. He gets serious. You left the Xiao family? This is honestly hard for me to believe. Technically, stuff like this that could stir up trouble. Wanbao Pavilion doesn't deal in it. But you've looked out for my business over the years, Brother Xiao. I trust your character. I'm willing to take the risk. 2 foundation pills for this sword. How's that sound? He holds up 2 fingers as he says it, a little nervous inside. Truth is, the real value of this sword is worth more than 20 foundation pills easy. But the risk is real too, just like he said. If the Xiao family comes knocking and wants it back, he won't have the nerve to say no. Whatever he paid, he'd have to eat that loss. The 2 pills is just a test offer. If you push back, he can go up to 5 and you anything more than that. And the risk just isn't worth it. But before he can even revise the offer, you agree on the spot. 2's fine. Take the sword. You slide it forward across the counter. Ha! I knew it, Brother Xiao. Since you're being that straight with me, I'm not gonna hold back either. Come with me to the storage room. See anything you like, just take a few pieces. We go back and don't stand on ceremony with me. You just got the foundation pills and you're itching to head back and break through. But Su Yukai means well, and it'd be rude to brush him off. So you follow him to the storage room. Wanbao Pavilion storage room is a total mess. Boxes here, piles there, nothing like the clean front display. You can tell right away there's nothing special in here. You're about to just grab some basic consumables and call it a day, when you spot something in the corner. An entire pile of pills just sitting there like a mountain. On the Qingyun continent where pills are worth more than anything, the sight genuinely catches you off guard. Hey, what's all this? Shu Yukai hears the question, and snaps out of his excitement. Oh, those are defective pills, Brother Xiao. You've been around great families and you probably know this. Every single pill in this world comes from alchemists under the pill tower. We merchants buy our pills straight from them. Shu Yukai glances around to make sure nobody else is listening, then lets out a quiet sigh. Ugh! Every time the pill tower sells to us merchants, in every batch, at least 30% are defective pills. Degraded potency, the works. Cultivators won't buy these things. And even if someone wanted to, we can't sell them. The pill tower cultivators are not to be messed with. They make us pay full price for these defective pills, and won't let us put them on the market, worried it'll damage the pill tower's reputation. So yeah, pills look crazy valuable on the surface. But when all is said and done, we're barely making anything off them. Most of our profit just goes toward buying these duds. Short-weighted, low quality, we just take it. Nothing we can do. What choice do we have? The pill tower's got the monopoly on alchemy. I'm telling you. And dealing with these defective pills is a whole headache on its own. Every shop just lets them pile up in storage. Once there's no more room, you find a quiet spot and bury them. After Shu Yukai finishes, your eyes light up. Defective or not, these might be exactly what you need. With that thought, you tell him you want to take that whole pile of defective pills. Shu Yukai stares at you with a look of complete disbelief. Brother Xiao, you're not thinking about reselling these defective pills, are you? I have to say something. The pill tower's influence runs deeper than you think. It doesn't matter who you are or how powerful you are, cross them and it won't end well. Seeing him hedge and hesitate, you just said it straight. I want to eat them myself. Eat them yourself? Will that cause any problems? Shu Yukai had no idea what you were planning, but if someone could take these pills off his hands, that was one less headache. So he nodded and handed the defective pills over. You swept them all into your storage pouch, said goodbye to Shu Yukai, and rushed straight back to the cave. You opened the clay jar again. A wave of medicinal scent hit you immediately. 50 foundation establishment pills, finally all gathered. Over 10 years of effort. The moment had come. Without another thought, you threw every single pill into your mouth. An overwhelming, earth-shaking surge of energy erupted inside you. For any ordinary cultivator, taking pills this way would leave them exploding on the spot in under a second. Dead. Gone. But as your pill-devouring constitution kicked in, the raging medicinal energy was gradually suppressed, and steadily fed into breaking through your cultivation level. Early foundation establishment, mid, late. When you finally surfaced from your sea of consciousness, your cultivation had reached foundation establishment perfection, only one step away from forming a golden core. Others endure bone-cleansing agony just to break through. You did it in the blink of an eye, leaping past what would take others years of bitter cultivation. Pills really are something else. With that thought, you pulled out the pile of defective pills. You started sorting them by grade and effect. Familiar ones like Gathering Force pills and Spirit Sprint pills. The kind that boost basic attributes. There were well over 1,000 of them. Without hesitating, you threw them all into your mouth, and waited quietly for what would happen inside. Originally, you'd expected these defective pills to be low quality. Maybe no side effects, but probably only 10 to 20% as effective as normal pills at best. But the moment they hit your stomach, a sensation of profound clarity shot straight up to your crown. Your body felt 10 times lighter, and your spiritual sense broke free like chains had been ripped off. It sharpened and exploded outward all at once. Your perception range instantly expanded until it blanketed the entire mountain. Your control over your own spiritual energy had become razor precise. This effect, it was identical to consuming 1,000 high-grade pills. Worthless defective pills working just as well as the real thing? Then why bother hunting for proper pills at all? Just eat defective ones. It seems this constitution of yours still has a lot of untapped potential. With that in mind, you decided to head to other cities and see if you could gather more. You made up your mind, destroyed your hideout cave, and set off for Qingshui City to the south. But the moment you stepped off the mountain, your extraordinary perception caught someone moving strangely nearby. The person was avoiding the main roads, sticking to back paths. Clearly had cultivation, but wasn't using it to travel faster. More importantly, this person carried the faint scent of defective pills. Without hesitating, you flickered and vanished from where you stood. At the foot of the mountain, Xinghuo Hall disciple Wei Lingfeng was following his sect's orders, transporting a batch of defective pills. Xinghuo Hall was originally just a group of rogue cultivators nobody wanted. They'd banded together into a sect just to survive in this brutal cultivation world. Unfortunately, proper pills were expensive, and defective pills were toxic and couldn't be used directly. Fortunately, their hall master had figured out another use for defective pills: grind them into powder using a secret method, then use it as fertilizer for spirit herbs. Once the herbs grew, they could trade them to the pill tower for good pills. To keep this golden method secret from everyone else, Wei Lingfeng was always extremely careful when transporting defective pills, trying not to draw any cultivators' attention. What he never expected was running into someone on this ordinary barren mountain, someone whose movements he couldn't even track. You stepped into his path and gave a respectful bow. "Fellow Taoist, please hold a moment. I'm willing to pay 200 spirit stones. Would you be willing to sell me those defective pills you're carrying?" Seeing someone so powerful show such courtesy, Wei Lingfeng smiled and returned the gesture. "These pills are hardly worth anything. Since fellow Taoist knows what to do with them, I'll just share some with you. We met on the road. That's fate. No need for spirit stones." With that, he reached into his storage pouch and pulled out 200 defective pills. But just as he was about to hand them over, Wei Lingfeng's eye caught the emblem on your clothing. Xiao Clan. The realization hit him. This guy is from the Xiao Clan. Wei Lingfeng immediately pulled his hand back. Rogue cultivators had always been looked down on by the great clans, and now they were sending someone to steal their defective pills? Was there no justice? Sure, his cultivation was only at early foundation establishment, but he wasn't the type to roll over for anyone. You noticed his expression shift and assumed he wasn't happy with the price, so you raised it by another 100. But that move just set Wei Lingfeng completely off. You people from the great cultivation clans think money can buy anything, don't you? Let me be clear, I'd give these pills away to anyone else for free. But hand them over to self-righteous people like you? Only if you eat them right here in front of me. As he said it, Wei Lingfeng's eyes went cold, and he quietly started forming a self-destruct technique in his hand. If you made a move against him, he was ready to hit you with his ultimate heaven and earth together, give you something to remember. But the next second, instead of getting angry, you calmly took the pills from Wei Lingfeng's hand. Pills toxic enough to destroy a person's meridians and mind, and you just tossed them into your mouth like candy. Wei Lingfeng just stared. Others might not know how toxic these pills were, but he knew exactly. Once a Xinghuo Hall disciple had dared to taste one. After 7 days of being torn apart from the inside by the rampaging medicinal energy, he begged the Hall Master to end his suffering. Wei Lingfeng didn't think of himself as someone afraid of death, but even thinking about that scene still made his skin crawl. And this guy just ate it, like it was nothing. Wei Lingfeng had always called himself the toughest man on the Qingyun continent. Clearly there was always someone tougher. With that, Wei Lingfeng clasped his fists deeply. I had eyes but couldn't see Mount Tai. Didn't expect the pampered scions of great clans to still have a true man like you. Hearing him mention your Xiao clan identity, you glanced down and remembered the Xiao family crest still embroidered on your robe. With a thought, you swept spiritual energy across it and erased the emblem clean. You've misunderstood, I've already left the Xiao clan. I'm nothing but a wandering rogue cultivator now. Wei Lingfeng's eyes lit up. The Xiao clan really has no vision. Someone who can eat defective pills without a scratch, and they couldn't hold on to him. Their downfall is only a matter of time. You didn't engage. What happened to the Xiao clan was the last thing on your mind. All you cared about was collecting more pills and getting stronger as fast as possible. With that, you pocketed the defective pills and turned to leave. When Wei Lingfeng suddenly spoke up, inviting you to join Xinghuo Hall, a mutual aid sect for rogue cultivators. No elders, no hierarchy, no restrictions on personal freedom. Missions and commissions were entirely voluntary. None of that appealed to you much. But then, Wei Lingfeng mentioned that the sect currently had a stockpile of defective pills. They were planning to use as fertilizer. If you joined, you'd probably be able to get your hands on them for next to nothing. That settled it. You decided to go check out Xinghuo Hall. Time passed quickly. Soon the two of you arrived at the hall's medicine garden. An old man in a plain white robe was examining the herbs. On the way here, Wei Lingfeng had told you about him, the hall master Tian Xingzi. His cultivation had already reached early golden core. But his passion wasn't cultivation. It was alchemy. Despite researching it his entire life, he'd never produced a single usable pill. But he had made some real breakthroughs in cultivating spirit herbs. When he heard Wei Lingfeng had brought back someone who could eat defective pills, the old man nearly lost his mind with excitement. He circled you, staring from every angle, hoping you'd agree to be his pill tester. Just hearing the words pill tester, several Xinghuo Hall disciples exchanged worried looks. Even Wei Lingfeng couldn't hold back. Hall master, those concoctions of yours, maybe don't inflict them on people just yet. Brother Xiao just joined. He's not ready to be risking his life for you. Wei Lingfeng shot you a look, signaling you to stay out of it. But then you heard that this old man actually made pills, and your interest sparked immediately. Senior, could I take a look at what you've been making? Tian Xingzi stroked his beard and turned to the crowd with a grin. See, finally someone who actually gets it. This concealment pill of mine hides your cultivation level and prevents others from detecting it. Yes, there are some impurities that couldn't be fully separated out, but they won't affect the result. The moment he finished speaking, everyone burst out laughing. Sure, it hides your aura, all right. But you forgot. Last time you tested it yourself, you spent 3 straight days hiccuping without stopping. The noise was so bad the dogs in the courtyard couldn't sleep. That's not hiding anything. Hearing the laughter, Tian Xingzi's face flushed red. He immediately moved to snatch the pills back. But you stepped in and stopped him. Can you scrape together 50 of these pills? If so, I'll test them for you. 50? Brother, please don't do this to yourself. Someone could actually die from this. Despite everyone's protests, you insisted on going through with it. You told them your constitution let you ignore pill side effects, not to worry. Soon, 50 pills were assembled and laid out neatly in front of you. Even the previously confident Tian Xingzi was starting to have doubts. What if this really does kill someone? He might give himself a heart demon before he could recover from the guilt. But then you swept your hand forward and swallowed all 50 pills at once. A strange wisp of purple smoke drifted out. The disaster everyone feared never came. Instead, you felt something new settle inside you. With a single thought, no spiritual energy needed, you could simply vanish. Not just hiding your aura or masking your strength, this invisibility held even while you were moving. Everyone watched as your body simply disappeared on the spot. Total silence. Tian Xingzi, a cultivator at the 7th stage of Golden Core, immediately launched a divine sense scan. But no matter how long everyone searched, they couldn't detect a single trace. Only when you fully mastered the ability and dropped the invisibility did the crowd finally burst into exclamations. Tian Xingzi grabbed your arm, practically vibrating with excitement. Yes, exactly. That was precisely the effect I was going for. Your constitution, you were practically born to be a sacred pill body. From now on, whatever you need, just ask. Whatever I can do, I will never turn you down. You smiled and agreed. In the months that followed, you were either testing new pills for Tian Xingzi or sorting through Xingwo Hall's stockpile of defective pills. Over time, your physical strength had seen some improvements, but breaking through to form a golden core remained a wall. You asked Tian Xingzi if he had anything that could push your cultivation further. He said the required herbs were far too rare. Attempting to refine that kind of pill at his level would just destroy precious materials. But fortunately, the Cloud Mist Secret Realm, which only opened once every several years, was about to open again. Rare herbs could be harvested inside. Take those herbs to the Pill Tower's exchange conference, and you could trade for a Chao Yuan pill, the pill that helps break through to Golden Core. Xingwo Hall had one entry slot. It had been assigned to Wei Lingfeng. But not long ago, Wei Lingfeng's old condition flared up. His meridians were congenitally blocked, and he needed to close up and disperse his cultivation just to stabilize. After deliberating, the group decided to give the slot to you. With your foundation establishment, perfection cultivation, and your invisibility ability, this trip should yield plenty. Hearing the words Cloud Mist Secret Realm, a flood of memories surfaced. Back in the Xiao clan, entry slots to the Secret Realm had always been locked down by your younger brother. Technically, you could compete for one, but with your cultivation back then stuck at Qi condensation, you'd have had zero chance of surviving inside. Not to mention the real risk of your brother ambushing you in there. For over 10 years, you never once had the chance to enter the Secret Realm. Now the opportunity was right in front of you. No way you were passing it up. You decided to disguise yourself and enter in Wei Lingfeng's place. A few more days passed. The moment of the Secret Realm's opening had arrived. All 4 major sects of the Qingyun continent had gathered at the Cloud Sea. The boundless mist seemed to carry some kind of absolute stillness. Even Golden Core cultivators couldn't see through it. In the legends you'd heard as a child, beyond the Cloud Sea lay a world far vaster than the Qingyun continent, where spirit herbs and spiritual beasts existed in varieties thousands of times greater. Cultivators everywhere, powerful beings in every corner. Some stories said the other side of the Cloud Sea was the immortal realm itself. That if you cultivated to immortality, you could part the mist and ascend. But no legend had ever been proven, since no one had ever even seen a tribulation stage cultivator. As time crept forward, a glimmer of light emerged from within the Cloud Sea, a lone island in the distance. Each opening only allowed Foundation Establishment and Qi condensation cultivators to enter. You followed Tian Xingzi to the entrance. Disciples from every other sect and clan had gathered here too. To make sure you understood your competition, Tian Xingzi pointed them out one by one. To the west, the Juggernaut sect. Their leader, Shangguan Yijian, has mid-tribulation cultivation. But with his clan's ancestral sword technique, he hits well above his level. The disciple he sent this time is called Ye Qingyang, personally trained by the sect master, probably mid-foundation establishment or above. To the east, the Moon Shadow Villa, who specializes in formation arrays. Their master Su Yunzhou also has mid-tribulation cultivation. Very close with the Juggernaut sect. Their disciple this time is Su Yuheng, and it seems he and the Juggernaut sect's kid have already partnered up as a duo. Combined, they're no joke. Besides those two, and the Pill Tower who never shows up and just harvests from the sidelines, there's us, Xingwo Hall. As the continent's only rogue cultivator sect, we've never had much contact with the others, and we're the weakest of the 4 factions. The disciples we send in just hope to make it back alive, so very few disciples are willing to sign up like Wei Lingfeng. Nobody sees us as a threat, so nobody will be coming after us. Wearing Wei Lingfeng's face, you stood quietly in the crowd. Following Tian Xingzi's pointing finger, your gaze drifted north, to the Xiao clan's delegation. Tian Xingzi started to introduce them, then suddenly remembered your history. He just smiled and said nothing. As your gaze swept across the Xiao clan group, Xiao Hong's expression froze. As the highest cultivation person present, it had been many years since anyone dared to look at him like that. Your spiritual sense had cut across 100 zhang like a blade of ice, threading through the crowd and piercing directly into Xiao Hong's mind. leaving him with a distinct chill running down his spine. When he followed that sensation and looked toward you, something nagged at him. This young Xinghuo Hall disciple looked strangely familiar. About the same age as his own sons, but the aura coming off this young man, it was like a predator coiled in the shadows, ready to strike. Nothing like either of his sons. A talent like this, and he wasted himself in Xinghuo Hall? What a shame. Xiao Hong started calculating quietly. If this young man performed well in the secret realm, he would offer something irrefusable. Get him into the Zhao clan. As Xiao Hong finally snapped out of his thoughts, he realized he should warn Xiao Li to watch out for that Xinghuo Hall opponent. Don't embarrass the Zhao clan by getting beaten. But when he looked around, Xiao Li was already gone from sight. At that same moment at the secret realm entrance, you were about to step through the portal when someone shoved through the crowd and pushed to the very front. You looked up and smiled inwardly. So you really did show up? My idiot little brother. Under the watchful eyes of all present, Xiao Li was the first to enter the Mist Realm. You and the remaining two followed close behind. Passing through a shimmering white portal, what greeted your eyes was a dense forest, brimming with life, nourished by the vast spiritual energy of heaven and earth that saturated this place. Not only had it given birth to rare spirit herbs almost unseen in the outside world, but it had also produced demon beasts, capable of matching a foundation-building cultivator. The island was no small expanse. Under normal circumstances, the four people transported in might never once cross paths before it was time to leave. Yet your spiritual sense happened to be vast enough to blanket the entire island, beneath your sweeping divine perception. Not the faintest stir of wind or rustle of grass anywhere on the island could escape your notice. Very quickly, several locations dense with spirit herbs caught your attention. Bone renewal flowers, jade heart fungus, both were medicinal herbs that could be exchanged at the pill tower for Chaoyuan pills. If you could gather enough for 50 Chaoyuan pills, perhaps just as you would burst through foundation building in one leap, you could vault straight to late-stage core formation. The thought left no room for hesitation. You wasted not a moment. Moving through the forest at a speed, dozens of times that of a swift-step pill, countless spirit herbs were plucked with a sweep of your hand and tucked into your storage pouch. Your pace was so swift that even the demon beasts lurking in the shadows poised to strike couldn't react in time. On the far side of the island, Ye Qingyang, the senior disciple of the Colossal Sword Sect, was scanning his surroundings, picking his way through the forest. This was not his first time in the Mist Realm. He was well acquainted with the island's terrain, and moreover, Su Yuheng of the Moonlit Villa, who had joined this trial alongside him, was also his betrothed. The two of them working together could overcome even a peak foundation-building opponent. So his first priority was to rendezvous with her, then head for the cave he had marked several years ago. With that in mind, he quickened his pace. But just then, an explosion suddenly rang out from the center of the island. Ye Qingyang sprinted in that direction. Yet when he arrived, all he found was Su Yuheng, gravely injured and unconscious. At the sight of her, Ye Qingyang rushed forward in a panic to check her vital signs. But just as his hand was about to reach her, a violent surge of spiritual force sent him flying through the air. Immediately after, Xiao Li's cold, cutting voice reached his ears. Tell me everything you found 3 years ago, or don't expect to leave this realm alive. Fury surged through Ye Qingyang. A great sword materialized in his palm. You're the one who hurt her? Enough talk. Take this. With those words, a dense wall of sword chi howled forward, announcing the full might of a peak foundation-building cultivation. Xiao Li neither flinched nor slowed. A claw raked the air, and a fire dragon coalesced into form. This was the Xiao family's exclusive technique, the Five Elements Genesis scripture. Xiao Li had abandoned its other chapters, and devoted himself entirely to the Li Fire Heaven-Burning Sutra, its most lethal scroll. In terms of pure destructive power, it already stood at the pinnacle of what the Azure Cloud continent had to offer. Combined with his superior cultivation, in the blink of an eye, the fire dragon shattered the sword key with overwhelming, unstoppable force. The scorching heat left Ye Qingyang barely able to hold his ground. He hadn't anticipated that after all these years. Xiao Li's cultivation had broken through yet again. A single exchange made the gap between them painfully clear. Trapped on this island within the realm, there was no running. Only fighting to the death offered even the slimmest chance of survival. With that resolve, Ye Qingyang formed a hand seal, his great sword releasing from his grip and flying towards Xiao Li, while he himself seized the moment to check Su Yuheng's injuries. After pressing several pills into her, Su Yuheng regained consciousness. With no time to circulate her energy and recover, she immediately deployed a sword formation. The sword arts of the Moonlit Villa and the Colossal Sword Sect shared the same origin, and when used in tandem, their combined power multiplied many times over. Gradually, they began to gain the upper hand over Xiao Li, but before the two could draw even a breath of relief, a burst of golden light erupted from Xiao Li's right arm. Then a colossal golden hand took shape, and came crashing down toward where they stood. Ye Qingyang scrambled to maneuver his great sword back in defense, but was a step too slow. This divine ability born from the Supreme Bone, even driven by nothing more than a peak foundation-building cultivation, could rival a blow from a mid-stage core formation cultivator. Under that single strike, Ye Qingyang's natal treasure, cracked with several deep fractures, and Su Yuheng, still not recovered from her earlier wounds, had gone ashen. One more strike and they would both perish on the spot. Xiao Li, if you truly dare kill us both, the sect elders will never let you go unpunished. Hearing their threat, the curve of Xiao Li's lips only grew colder. This island is cut off from the world. Who's to say whether you died by my hand, or by the claws of the demon beasts here? I'll be honest with you. The moment you entered this realm, you gave up any hope of leaving alive. Among the younger generation of the Azure Cloud continent, eliminating each of you one by one will do just fine. With that, he gathered his power, and sent another blow hurtling forward. There was a tremendous metallic crack, and a figure, appearing from nowhere, materialized directly in front of Ye Qingyang and Su Yuheng, fellow Taoist of the Spark Hall. Here to save us again? Upon seeing who had arrived, Su Yuheng couldn't hide her joy. But quickly, a glance from Ye Qingyang brought her back to her senses. It was well known that the Spark Hall was the last established among the 4 great immortal sects. Its members had always been oddities, cultivators with broken constitutions, strange physiques, wandering rogues. Its strength was the weakest of the 4. In previous Mist Realm trials, those killed by demon beast attacks were invariably Spark Hall disciples, setting aside the fact that they had no particular ties with the other 3 sects. Even if this person was willing to help, were the 3 of them truly a match for someone with the supreme bone? While Ye Qingyang and the others were still deliberating, your palms surged with force, and with raw physical strength alone, you stopped that colossal hand in its tracks. Even the airborne Xiaoli was visibly shaken by the sight. The Spark Hall had sent out a body cultivator this time? To withstand a supreme bone divine ability with bare flesh, this person must be at peak foundation building as well. To think that the Spark Hall, nearly faded into obscurity, had recruited a monster like this. The thought only sharpened Xiao Li's killing intent. Several spirit talismans flew from his palm, igniting into blazing fireballs. That shot forward. But you, without a trace of urgency, intoned an incantation. Countless great spirit trees burst from the earth, not only extinguishing the fireballs one by one, but forming a living wall of trees that encircled the 2 people behind you. Because you were deep within the forest, the ancient trees around you were stirred by the surging spiritual energy, and of their own accord joined with you to form a grand formation. Ye Qingyang and Su Yuheng were struck speechless by what they were witnessing. You appeared to be roughly the same age as them, yet the power you displayed was in an entirely different league. Not only could your body withstand the Supreme Bone's divine ability, even the casual techniques you employed were of this caliber, barring the extraordinary. Among the younger generation of the Azure Cloud continent, if this fellow Taoist of the Spark Hall were to claim the 2nd place, no one would dare claim the 1st. The thought moved them to bow toward you repeatedly, their eyes shining with the deepest respect. Meanwhile, Xiao Li stared at that terrifying wood formation and felt a chill race up his spine. Countless buried memories crashed over him. As a child, when his father passed down the 5 elements Genesis scripture, he was told to choose one chapter to master. At the time, you had already taken up the Wood Ascension art, so he had invoked the logic of elemental counterforces and chosen the Li Fire Heaven Burning Sutra, convinced that with this he could surpass you. But later, when you were both in the Qi refining realm, your spirit wood still suppressed his fire through sheer force, defying the principle of elemental countering entirely. It was only years later, and when he mastered the Supreme Bone divine ability, and your cultivation had stagnated, that he finally gained the upper hand. And now, the scene before him was hauntingly familiar. Just who was this person from the Spark Hall? Why did he know the Xiao family's 5 elements Genesis scripture? And why, of all chapters, was it the Wood Scroll? Every thread of evidence pointed to one conclusion, that this was his elder brother Xiao Liang. But Xiao Li refused to accept it at the core of his being. That worthless elder brother, who was nothing but a key refiner, how could he possibly have grown this powerful? A coincidence. It had to be a coincidence. With that thought, Xiao Li's eyes went icy as he roared, "You brazen rogue! You've stolen my Xiao family's technique. Die!" As he spoke, a crimson long saber appeared in Xiao Li's hand, using the fire dragon as cover. He tore through the tangled branches and came for you. Back in the Xiao household, you had seen this saber countless times. Its blade was forged with the core fire of the Earth's heart. The material, a piece of cold iron passed down through generations of the Xiao family. The same origin as your own short sword. It had been gifted to Xiao Li by his father, as a reward when he completed Qi refining. Yet, even then, Xiao Li had refused to be your equal. Hearing that this saber and your sword were originally a matched pair, he threw a fit until their father agreed to reforge it into something greater. And with their father's indulgence, the plan was approved over every objection. When the saber was finally complete, the cold iron consumed was several times that of the original, its length far exceeding what would normally be wielded by a child. The blade was covered in fierce flame engravings, a symbol of the second young masters standing within the Xiao clan. Back then, every time you laid eyes on that ostentatious weapon, a flicker of bitterness would stir within you. But now, seeing it again after leaving the Xiao family, your gaze was still as an undisturbed well. As the blade came slashing toward you, you raised 2 fingers and caught it firm. Then, the latent power accumulated from countless pills within your body erupted once more. A massive force surged from your dantian to your fingertips, and with a thunderous crack, Xiao Li's prized saber shattered, and he himself was sent flying by the shockwave from that single blow. Just as he scrambled to rise and flee, several vines burst from the earth and bound him fast. A dread of death unlike anything he had ever felt before crept over Xiao Li's entire body. Not since he established his foundation had he ever been reduced to this. His instinct screamed to call for his father. Then he remembered. This was the isolated island within the realm. He thought to use the Xiao family name to threaten you, to make you hesitate before striking. But then he remembered the very words he himself had used against the others not long ago. With so many demon beasts and traps on this island, who could ever say how someone met their end? Seeing every possible escape cut off, he had no choice but to begin pleading. Fellow Taoist, surely we can talk this through. I am the future patriarch of the Xiao family. If you spare me, the Xiao family will never forget this kindness. My father is a late-stage tribulation cultivator. He has no shortage of rare treasures. Whatever you desire, I can have him give it to you. As Xiao Li's pleas rang out, you walked toward him, expression blank. Then you drove your fist down. In Xiao Li's wide, terrified eyes, a soft green luminescence slowly wrapped around him. In the next instant, he simply vanished into thin air. Witnessing this, Ye Qingyang and the others were utterly dumbfounded. What technique was that? Capable of activating under these conditions? But you were entirely unsurprised. That treasure which had delivered him from death was called the Evil Retreat Robe. The moment its owner was truly cornered, it would activate on its own, ignoring all restrictions, and teleporting its owner to safety. Each use destroyed it permanently. Such a heaven-defying treasure. Even the Pill Tower did not possess one. The only two on the Azure Cloud continent were both housed within the Xiao family. Xiao Li and you had each originally held one, but after you lost your reputation as a genius, and spent years shut away behind closed doors, Xiao Li had used the pretext that you faced no mortal danger to pressure the clan elders into taking your robe from you. Since then, both robes had been seized by Xiao Li. Now, caught in this crisis, and not only had one robe been used, but he had been teleported directly out of the Mist Realm entirely. He had become among the four great sects, the first person to be eliminated, before the trial had even truly begun. High above the clouds and sea at this moment, a streak of light visible to all watching, shot toward the Xiao family's contingent. The light faded, and Xiao Li came tumbling and rolling to a stop at his father's feet. Seeing the Xiao family in this state, the Colossal Sword Sect's sect master, Yang Zhuang, remarked with feigned concern, "Oh my, it seems the demon beasts inside the realm have grown considerably stronger, even with young Master Xiao's ability to flee in such a wretched state." Xiao Hong's expression darkened. Though he was deeply concerned for his son's injuries, the dignity of the sect held him back from asking outright. He quickly had people carry Xiao Li to the rear. In an instant, the Xiao family's various elders all turned away, shaking their heads. Just what is in that realm? To have wounded the young master so badly? It's not a matter of demon beasts. The young master has always been too reckless in his conduct, and the price of underestimating his opponent has come due. Enough. This is an embarrassment beyond all reckoning. Even sending any ordinary disciple just to secure 4th place wouldn't look this bad. The murmuring voices reached Xiao Li's ears, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood in sheer rage. He had already driven Xiao Liang out of the Xiao family. So why were there still so many people working against him? That person from the Spark Hall, and Ye Qingyang, Su Yuheng, all of them deserve to die. This young master will not let any of you off. At the same time, deep within the Mist Realm, you withdrew your technique and walked toward Ye Qingyang and Su Yuheng. You asked directly, "Fellow Taoists, this treasure you spoke of earlier, what exactly is it?" Hearing your question, Ye Qingyang first hesitated, then glanced at Su Yuheng, and slowly began, "I won't deceive you, fellow Taoist. The last time the Mist Realm opened, I was attacked by a demon beast in the forest, and fell from a cliff at the island's edge. I thought I would be lost to the clouds below. But to my surprise, there was a cave embedded in that cliffside. Inside there were signs that someone had once lived there. I followed the cave deeper, and discovered that it contained a hidden chamber. What treasures lay within, I couldn't determine at the time. But guarding that hidden chamber was a 4th-rank tiger-type demon beast. This beast appeared in none of the Azure Cloud Continent's illustrated records. At the time, my cultivation was low and I had taken some wounds, so I had no choice but to retreat from the realm. This time I joined with Yu Heng, intending to explore that cave once more. But we were ambushed by Xiao Li before we could even begin. Now that we are both injured, we stand little chance against the demon beast that guards it. We intend to collect some spirit herbs and leave the realm. If you wish to seek out that cave, follow the seals I left along the way. Press straight ahead and you'll reach it. This information is nowhere near sufficient to repay the debt of your saving our lives. We hope only that you return safely. When you do, my wife and I will host a proper banquet in your honor." With that, Ye Qingyang helped Su Yuheng and the two departed slowly, and you, without delay, made your way toward the cave. Prior to this, through your extraordinary perception, you had overheard their conversation. And it was precisely because you detected the existence of this opportunity that you acted without hesitation to intervene. And yet, your divine sense, vast enough to cover the entire island, had somehow failed to detect the location of this cave. It seemed there was truly something hidden within. With that thought, you leapt and descended into the cave. What greeted you were a number of scrolls and garments, long since crumbled and worn. You skimmed the contents, and found the writing was not of any script from the Azure Cloud continent. Could it be, beyond this endless sea of clouds, there existed other continents with your current cultivation? Such questions were beyond your concern for now. You set the scrolls down and continued deeper into the cave. Before long, a faint fragrance of refined pills reached you. Judging by the age of this cave, if someone had once refined pills here, that fragrance would have lingered for 1,000 years by now. What pill could possibly be of such extraordinary quality? Fierce curiosity drove you forward toward the hidden chamber. But at the same moment, a tiger's roar split the air beside your ear. This demon beast was the equal of a mid-stage golden core cultivator. Its ability to conceal its aura alone was beyond even your detection. In the instant it lunged, you flashed your body aside and slipped into the hidden chamber. The chamber was exactly as you had imagined. An alchemy room of the kind you had only ever read about in ancient texts. A refined silver-white pill furnace stood at the center. And despite 1,000 years having passed, not a single speck of dust had settled on it. The tiger demon hadn't anticipated that your speed could be this fast, slipping into the hidden chamber in a gap between its own strikes. 1,000 years ago, its master had given strict orders that all objects within the pill chamber were precious, not to be damaged. Its own hulking frame made extra caution all the more necessary. With that rule in mind, the tiger demon lightened its step and pursued you with painstaking care. This back and forth gave you many openings to dodge. You even managed to fire back with spells from time to time. Though against the tiger demon, the effect was negligible. At your current cultivation level, even at full force, you couldn't hope to overpower a mid-stage golden core creature long before leaving the Xiao family. Your magical treasures, your spirit talismans, had all been stripped clean by Xiao Li. Aside from those few vials of pills, you had been left with virtually nothing. Right now, you couldn't even produce a single life-saving item. Just then, something struck you. Pills. This was a pill chamber, and you had caught the scent of pill fragrance just now. There had to be pills stored here. The moment that thought flashed through your mind, you spun around, dodging the tiger demon's attacks while opening the scattered boxes around the room, hoping to find something useful. But box after box came up empty. The pill fragrance seemed to fill the entire room, yet it was elusive and impossible to pin down. And the tiger demon, watching you knock over so many delicate boxes, grew increasingly agitated. Golden streaks flared across the markings on its body, and its next strike came with the full, unrestrained force of a golden core beast. You met it head-on with both fists, the two of you clashing directly together. The shockwave nearly overturned everything in the pill chamber. Even the lid of that silver-white pill furnace shifted loose by half an inch. A dense wave of pill fragrance billowed out from within. It came to you in a flash. The remaining pills had never been taken out of the furnace. Realizing this, you gathered a breath of true ki, shoved the tiger demon hard, and threw yourself to the side of the furnace, and peered inside. Lying within were a mass of pills with fine green markings, roughly 70 to 80 of them. They were a variety you had never encountered in any pill compendium. But with the enemy upon you, there was no time to think. The pill's effects surged through your body without warning, one by one, unknown in effect. Unknown whether they still held any potency, you swallowed every last one of them whole. Then came a sudden rush of blood surging upward, a green radiance building rapidly within your eyes. No matter how you tried to control it, you could not suppress this churning, restless energy. The next second, two beams of blue-green light erupted from your eyes. Everything in their path dissolved. The entire cave was cleaved in two by your gaze, and even the endless sea of clouds in the distance was split open by a gaping void. By the time the energy in your eyes finally dissipated, the tiger demon that had been raging and clawing was now sitting perfectly still, not daring to show even the slightest hint of defiance, as you normally would. You checked for any changes in your body, and found that after swallowing those pills, none of your attributes had improved. Your cultivation hadn't grown in the slightest. Instead, your eyes seemed somewhat brighter than before, and a cryptic, abstruse cultivation diagram had appeared in your mind. It seemed that simply channeling your spiritual energy through this diagram could reproduce that devastatingly powerful blue beam from just now. Noticing the puzzlement on your face, the tiger demon cautiously approached, and used its claws to gesture an explanation. Though a rank 4 demon beast couldn't yet speak in human tongue, with the help of the scrolls and records left in the cave, you quickly grasped its meaning. Inferring from the shapes of the characters in the records, you determined this place had originally been the cave dwelling of a nascent soul cultivator, and the tiger demon was the spirit beast left behind to guard it. The green pills in the furnace were called Xuanjing pills, a single-use consumable. Each pill consumed allowed you to unleash a divine ability known as the Mystic Eye Beam. The texts described it as capable of striking an enemy at 1,000 li, reducing all things to void. But the Xuanjing pills were exceedingly rare, and extraordinarily difficult to refine. This had always been the divine ability's greatest drawback. Having read all of this, you realized the pill's bodily absorption effect had inadvertently converted this single-use divine ability into a permanent power. At your current cultivation level, deploying it would greatly reduce its potency, and your total spiritual energy meant you couldn't use it consecutively. But this was still a killing strike that eclipsed every trump card you possessed. Deployed correctly, slaying a 7th layer golden core cultivator was entirely within reach. Treasure in hand, your mood lifted considerably. Seeing that the tiger demon was willing to acknowledge you as its master, you hadn't the heart to leave it here any longer, and so you brought it with you back to the island. Leveraging the tiger demon's keen nose and imposing aura, you gathered a large haul of rare spirit herbs, including the Shengu flower variety. Then a resonant bell tone rang out, and a sharp beam of light transported you out of the secret realm. Ye Qingyang and Su Yuhong had already returned to the group long before you. The senior members of their respective sects were thoroughly satisfied with their hauls. Just as everyone was cheering and celebrating, a rank 4 tiger demon strolled calmly out through the trial gate. Its terrifying demonic pressure swept across the entire field. The groups from every major sect fell into varying degrees of panic. This was a rank 4 demon beast, a creature capable of matching a mid-stage golden core powerhouse. and it had somehow walked out of the secret realm. Tian Qingzi and the others readied themselves for battle. Xiao Hong, seeing this, was incensed beyond containment. The one who harmed Lier. It was surely this wretched beast. We cannot let it leave here and harm others. Before the words had fully left his mouth, Xiao Hong had already drawn his sword and launched into the air. The sword scripture, heaven-cleaving art he cultivated, excelled in speed. With a single thought, his form transformed into a bolt of lightning, and in the blink of an eye, he had closed in on the tiger demon. But in the moment the blade was about to meet those tiger claws, your silhouette suddenly appeared on the tiger demon's back. The next second, a fist strike carrying the force of 1,000 Jun came crashing down, stopping Xiao Hong's movement dead. After making out the figure on the tiger's back, Tian Qingzi rushed over to explain. This is Wei Lingfeng, a disciple of our Xinghuo Hall. Xiao Hong swept his wide sleeve, sheathed his sword, and forcibly steadied the arm that had gone numb from the impact. His face carried an undisguisable look of admiration. Brother Tian Qingzi, you really do have all the luck. A talent like this has entered your Xinghuo Hall. I wonder what conditions you offered. At that, Xiao Hong's expression shifted. He turned to you and said, young friend, if you're willing to switch, whatever Xinghuo Hall has offered you, I, Xiao Hong, am willing to give double. Triple. As he spoke, his gaze swept over the Yuying Manor and Jujian sect groups, undoubtedly displaying the depth of the Xiao family's foundations, warning them not to interfere. But in trying to pressure them, he had only invited trouble. The Jujian sect's master, Shangguan Yijian, had never been the kind to swallow his pride, and immediately shot back in an equally theatrical tone. Brother Xiao, save your breath. My disciple Qingyang came out earlier and informed me that this young friend from Xinghuo Hall, while in the secret realm, saved the lives of both my disciple Qingyang and the young lady of the Su family. He is their lifesaver. And as for who the villain was that harmed them, does Brother Xiao really need me to spell it out? At that, Su family head Su Yunzhou also stepped forward, corroborating from the side that every word the Jujian sect had said was true.
Hearing this,
Xiao Hong's gaze turned ice cold. In his heart, Xiao Li's image dimmed noticeably. What is Lier doing with a talent like this right here? Not going to make friends, but instead making an enemy of him? With judgment like that, how can he ever lead the Xiao family? Ha! If only Lianger were here, he would never have offended someone like this. Thinking that far, Xiao Hong schooled his expression into a smile, and decided to try his luck and win your favor. Young friend, if Lier caused any offense while in the secret realm, this old man offers you an apology on his behalf here and now. Should you be willing to set aside past grievances and join my Xiao family? In addition to the triple benefits already promised, this old man is willing to personally serve as your Dao guardian. What do you say, young friend? Hearing Xiao Hong's words, every person present wore a look of utter disbelief. Among the experts of every sect gathered here, if measured purely by cultivation, Xiao Hong was the undisputed number one. To have him as a Dao guardian, even a worthless nobody, could walk sideways across this entire continent. Quite a few of the younger faces showed open envy. At the rear of the group, Xiao Li was grinding his teeth in fury. Why is father taking this guy so seriously? This revolting feeling. It's exactly the same as that big brother of his, Xiao Liang. No, I have to find a way to get rid of him. On the other side, the Xinghuo Hall group was buzzing with chatter. Our Xinghuo Hall lets people come and go freely. We never restrict our members. With the Xiao family putting forward conditions like these, I'm afraid this fellow disciple might well end up joining the Xiao family. Not necessarily, if you ask me. Not necessarily? Did you all not see? The spirit beast this fellow disciple rides is a rank 4 tiger demon, a mid-stage golden core demon beast, and it willingly submitted to him. Does he really need the Xiao family's Dao guardian that badly? All manner of speculation was flying around. Everyone stood there in a daze, waiting for you to make your final decision. You looked at your father, practically fawning before you, and delivered a single sentence with perfect ease. I don't want to have anything to do with the Xiao family. With that, you patted the tiger demon's neck, and walked unhurriedly back to the Xinghuo Hall group. At the same time, your words echoed again and again in Xiao Hong's mind. That voice was somehow familiar, yet he couldn't place it. You had used a disguise technique to replicate Wei Lingfeng's appearance, but your voice still had many telltale inconsistencies. By rights, after living as father and son day after day for over a decade, Xiao Hong shouldn't have failed to recognize his own son's voice. But it was precisely because he had neglected you so thoroughly all these years that you couldn't remember the last time you had spoken with him normally. The fleeting sense of familiarity came and went in an instant. Xiao Hong, his pride denied, could only return to his group in silence. The Yunwu Secret Realm trial came to an end. After taking your leave of Ye Jingyang and Su Yuheng, you followed the group back to Xinghuo Hall. Your gains from this journey were substantial. Beyond the vast quantity of rare spirit herbs, you had also brought back the scrolls in the pill furnace from the hidden chamber. Though you couldn't decipher all the writing on them, Tian Qingzi laid eyes on them as if he had found a supreme treasure. He implored you again and again to lend these items to him temporarily for study. The old man promised that his research findings would be shared with you at the earliest opportunity. After weighing it carefully, you agreed. From that point on, Tian Qingzi entered a closed-door retreat with no set end date. The position of Xinghuo Hall Master had also fallen to you. You had originally wanted to ask him how he could hand over the sect so casually. He simply replied, Xinghuo Hall has always been led by whoever is strongest. Right now, the strongest one in the sect is your mount, the Tiger Demon. If you truly refuse to accept, then making the Tiger Demon Hall Master would be perfectly fine by him too. You looked at the Tiger Demon, thousands of years old and still somewhat dim-witted, and decided you had better take on this burden yourself. Several months passed in the blink of an eye. Wei Lingfeng had fully recovered from his illness and emerged from seclusion, right in time for the Pill Tower's semi-annual pill exchange convention. Ordinarily, this task had always been handled by Wei Lingfeng, but mindful of his lingering illness, you had him stay behind to oversee the sect, while you yourself took the accumulated medicinal materials to attend the convention. At the same time, 1,000 lie away within the Xiao family estate. A dull explosion rang out inside the Heavenly Hall. Xiao Li, body covered in wounds, collapsed to the ground like a blood-soaked ragdoll. Another failed attempt at breaking through to Golden Core. Ever since being defeated by you in the Yunwu secret realm, that memory had become an utterly consuming inner demon. He pushed himself desperately to achieve Golden Core and grow stronger, but his frantic state of mind kept stirring the inner demon, leaving him unable to find calm. Over several months, he had attempted the breakthrough multiple times, and every single attempt had ended in failure. Had it not been for the support of the Xiao family's rare treasures, combined with the protection of the supreme bone in his body, these repeated failures would already have claimed his life. Fortunately, after this latest failure, the timing of the pill exchange convention happened to coincide. He impatiently loaded himself up with a wealth of precious items and rushed off to attend. On the other side, in Tianyang City, where the pill tower stood, cultivators from across the entire Qingyun continent had converged from every corner. They moved between the pill booths, exchanging magical treasures and medicinal herbs for pills. Guided by your extraordinary perception, you walked straight into one booth where the energy fluctuations were exceptionally strong. The moment you stepped inside, a massive wave of spiritual sense surged toward you. It seemed the booth's owner was probing the background of whoever entered. But by the time you thought to suppress your aura, it was already a step too late. A gray-robed old man emerged silently from behind a curtain, highly intrigued. Well now, little one, to have spiritual sense this powerful at such a young age, you're a born talent for alchemy, aren't you? As he spoke, a greedy gaze swept up and down your body, making you deeply uneasy. And at some point without your notice, the door behind you had been sealed shut by a formation array. Walking back out was clearly not going to be easy. You recalled what Wei Lingfeng had once told you about the rules. Within the Pill Tower's jurisdiction, there were laws laid down by the Tower Master. Once you entered a pill booth, you had to complete a transaction. Otherwise, you couldn't leave. Thinking that through, you gave the old man a simple bow and asked what pills he had available. Hearing the subject turn to business, the old geezer had no choice but to rein in his wandering thoughts and explained his pills under the constraint of the rules. As for pills relating to the Golden Core breakthrough, there were only a limited few basic varieties. The most crucial among them was the Chaoyuan pill, which supplied the energy for Golden Core formation. The materials required to refine a Chaoyuan pill were exceptionally rare, and the formula was beyond what an ordinary alchemist could command. Even a gray-robed master, a top-tier alchemist such as himself, when refining a Chaoyuan pill, still faced the risk of repeated failure. An astronomically high production cost combined with an extremely low yield made pricing the Chaoyuan pill enormously difficult. Set the price too high, and most Foundation establishment cultivators simply couldn't afford it. Set it too low, and he risked losing money on materials. And so many years ago, the old geezer had devised a clever solution, selling failed pills and successful pills together in the same lot. Draw a dud, and that was simply poor luck on the buyer's part. No one else to blame. With that in mind, the old geezer set down before you a vial of Chaoyuan pills, varying wildly in quality. He smiled at you. Young one, 3 stalks of Shengu flower and 2 stalks of Hanyu branch, and you may draw 1 pill from this vial. Give it a try. The odds of drawing a real pill were 60%. But Chaoyuan pills don't look like normal pills. The real ones have tiny crystals on the surface, rough to the touch. The duds, on the other hand, are perfectly smooth and glossy like jade. If you'd never held a real Chaoyuan pill in your hands before, first time drawing, you'd absolutely think you were being clever by grabbing the smooth one. If the real ones are hard to train with, are the duds any easier? Once the suckers drew a dud and walked away disappointed, he'd just toss the dud back into the pool. Keep this up long enough, and those 60 pills could keep him running this scam for 100 years without running out. Old Dung had been running this game, and fooling cultivators with it for ages. Thinking about it, he let out a smug little laugh. There are 100 pills in this pool, kid. Just watching isn't going to help you figure out the trick. Even someone like you with an unusually powerful spiritual sense, he didn't think you'd be able to dodge this trap. But what he could never have imagined was that you had an insanely sharp nose for dud pills. One sniff and you knew nearly 40% of what was in that vat was pure garbage. This setup might work on everyone else. But hey, couldn't the duds be put to use too? Mine made up! You threw open your storage pouch! And rare fish, herbs, and ingredients instantly blanketed the entire pill shop floor. Sir, count it up. Should be just enough to buy out this whole vat. At the sight of all those rare herbs piled across the floor, Old Dung froze. This was absolutely unhinged. He was an alchemist himself, and he'd never seen this kind of haul in his life. Most Foundation stage cultivators who came through could barely afford 2 draws. The majority drew 1 dude, and left happy about it. But here you were, right in front of him, pulling pills out one by one. And in no time at all, every single dud was gone. Then the real Chaoyuan pills started disappearing one after another too. Old Dung's heart was bleeding watching this. In a normal pill draw event, his peach pool scheme would net maybe a fraction of a profit at most. But the very first customer of the year had just wiped him out completely. Even with all the rare herbs you'd given him, it still wasn't enough to cover his costs. Old Dung was so furious his mustache was practically standing on end. But unfortunately for him, the rules of the event were still in effect. He had no way to stop you. All he could do was watch you walk out loaded down with bags. 2 hours after you left, Xiao Li also showed up at the same pill shop. Senior Xiao Li is here hoping to trade for some Chaoyuan pills. Hearing that voice, the rage Old Dung had just barely managed to cool down, instantly flared right back up. Chaoyuan pills again? Gone, not a single one left. The smile on Xiao Li's face stiffened on the spot. He wasn't new to these pill exchange events. In all the years they'd been running, every single time, the pill tower's alchemists always came out on top. The rarer the pill, the more they squeezed out of it. Since when did they ever sell out? But even if Xiao Li didn't buy it, there was nothing he could do. This was the pill tower, not the Xiao family estate. Nobody here was going to indulge him. But thinking back on how pathetic he'd looked not long ago, his determination to break through to the tribulation stage only hardened. Senior, besides Chaoyuan pills, do you have anything else that can help with a tribulation breakthrough? Watching Xiao Li's burning, desperate eyes, the old man's stone-faced expression slowly cracked into a smile. Young friend, I do happen to have something that could help you cross that threshold without a problem. It's just that the price, I don't know if you'd be willing to pay it. As he said that, Old Dung pulled out a wooden box. Inside, a single deep crimson pill rested quietly. Just one look at that pill was enough to make an ordinary cultivator's mind go haywire. This treasure is called the Blood Clarity Pill. Even for an old man like me, I've only ever managed to refine a single one. Don't let the appearance unsettle you. The effects will absolutely satisfy you. An ordinary pill just provides spiritual energy to assist a cultivator's breakthrough. But this Blood Clarity Pill sinks directly into your core and can serve as a direct replacement for your existing golden core. In other words, any foundation stage cultivator who takes this pill skips the entire tribulation process and instantly ascends to the tribulation stage. At those words, Xiao Li's pupils blew wide open. He asked urgently, "What does this pill require in exchange?" "You just mentioned you're from the Xiao family. I've heard the Shou clan possesses a heaven-tier treasure, the Jinghong sword. Bring me that sword, and the Blood Clarity Pill is yours." The moment he heard Jinghong, something flickered in Xiao Li's eyes. Since childhood, he'd known the clan had a treasure like this, said to be the divine weapon of the Xiao family's founding ancestor. But it had always been personally kept by each generation's clan head. Even as one of the most favored sons, he'd never been allowed to so much as touch it. Asking for it was out of the question. He'd have to steal it. Mind made up, Xiao Li shot off like a streak of light and headed back to the Xiao estate. Old Dung watched the fish take the bait and didn't rush at all. As long as this deal went through, everything he'd lost today would come back 10, 100 times over. And sure enough, just as he expected, 2 nights later, Xiao Li showed up at the shop again, setting the Jinghong sword on the counter. Over those 2 days, he'd worked every angle, and banking on Xiao Hong's lack of suspicion toward him, he'd finally gotten his hands on the treasure, and walked away with the Blood Clarity Pill he'd been obsessing over. Once the deal was done, Xiao Li was just about to leave when the gray-robed old man suddenly flashed a sly, ominous smile. "Oh, one more thing I should warn you about. This pill is alive. It has the ability to drain the cultivation of others. To keep your golden core from deteriorating, you'll need to feed it regularly." It seemed like those words were hinting at some kind of side effect, but Xiao Li's head was completely flooded with the thrill of reaching tribulation stage. He wasn't thinking straight. He grabbed the pill and went home in high spirits. The pill was every bit as effective as advertised, no exaggeration at all. That very night, Xiao Li successfully stepped into the tribulation stage. But before he could even tell his father the good news, a sudden overwhelming hunger nearly drove him insane. When he came back to his senses, there was already a corpse next to him. It was one of his personal retainers kept at the estate. The man had been given orders to track down his elder brother's whereabouts, and now he was dead beside him for no apparent reason. Just as Xiao Li was racking his brain trying to make sense of it, a flash of memory suddenly surfaced. So that was it. This Blood Clarity Pill needed to feed on the life force of other cultivators to sustain itself. The horrifying side effects sent him into a full panic. He crumpled to the floor. But as time slowly passed, Xiao Li noticed that his body had inexplicably filled with a surge of spiritual energy. The rate at which he was absorbing it was dozens of times faster than normal cultivation. Keep absorbing more cultivators, and reaching the nascent soul stage would be within arm's reach. At that thought, the fear of having killed a companion was gradually swallowed by greed. That same night, 5 of the Xiao estate's retainers vanished without a trace. Meanwhile, you now with your Chaoyuan pills in hand, didn't head straight back to Xinghuo Hall. Instead, you found a quiet, remote stretch of wilderness, activated your stealth, and took the pills to attempt your tribulation breakthrough. As all 100 pills, real and dud mixed together, went down in one go, a wild torrent of spiritual energy exploded outward from inside you. Deep in your core, your pill body-rooted Dantian, a thumb-sized black vortex opened up. A fierce gravitational pull seized every scattering thread of energy, and slowly forged it into a whirlpool inside you, endlessly drawing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into itself. The process stretched on for several days. When you finally surfaced from the ocean of sensation, that vortex was now wrapped in a shell of gold, the mark of a successful tribulation breakthrough. But the process of entering the tribulation stage this time was a little different from what you'd imagined. 100 Chaoyuan pills hadn't pushed your realm. as far as you'd hoped, only reaching the mid-tribulation level. But your pill body constitution had evolved with the breakthrough in unexpected ways.